we're gonna just dish out some of these videos for the Art Crosswind channel while I'm not making claymation or even doing abstract philosophy, which this is still gonna be, but you know, we're gonna talk a little bit first off about Jordan Peterson, my friend AverageGrady, you know, the JK Wire 12 guy, the Microbots forums. Jordan Peterson has obviously the 12 rules of life and 12 rules for beyond order, stuff like that. Those two people in particular, and we're gonna compare and contrast them, the popular celebrity guy thing and my childhood friend, and we're gonna compare them as per the title of this video, which will now be the right way to sell secondary education, ... and life itself. So you know, so Jordan Peterson's advice was, when he was selling secondary education, and I'll get to Garrett in a second, but like when Jordan Peterson was selling secondary education, he said, and I quote, "You're getting the mastery of things you couldn't beyond your wildest dreams. You're learning things of the evolution of everything that you could ever imagine. Like, you actually are accessing these potential libraries that you don't have to see as objective. You don't have to see as primal, supremo. You don't have to think of it as being the only better thing ahead of you, but you have this access to this sincere, profound, rich library of actual, not having to be sage, but still good enough wisdoms of everything you could have ever dreamed of." And it's like, this is so insurmountable, but it is surmountable, but it's like, it's so fathomably unfathomable. It's like, it's weird to say like that, but here you go. It's like, basically, it's rich. It's like, it's really extraordinary. The idea of going to college and university, I'm showing this as a YouTuber for some reason, but as I imagine my favorite schools like Goblins, CalArts, and some other ones as well. Was some of my favorite art schools, at least. But you know, it's this amazing thing. You should not have, if anything, do not underestimate it. And that's, even if there are some things that are underwhelming about it, the experience as a whole is very overwhelming. And not just the classes you pick or things you do, but actually like the experience of that secondary entry of your educational system. You are getting into that immersion, and that is the blessing that Jordan Peterson can see when it comes to college and universities. And so it's like, yeah, that's his argument, and huge favor of it. Fuller, on the other hand, he's like, okay, he told me this personally, and he's like, about the benefits and downsides of secondary education. Well, his argument was also for education and secondary education, but he said, and I also quote, "You won't know everything from going to college or university, but you will still at least get the basics and foundations down so that when you get to an actual job, you won't be left behind, unprepared, or unwilling to work." And I don't think he actually said unwilling to work, but that was kind of the gist way he said. It was like okay, omit unwilling to work, but everything else I said was almost down the line, silver lining. He basically Grady was like, you basically need college at some point to know how to properly do your job. And it's not a shame that you have to do that, but it does mean that you won't have to know omnisciently everything possible just to achieve that. You just need to get the job done. And that's enough. That's a crucial, but it's not an omniscience either. So it's a bit of a balance on that. And I have to say it like that because some people may not understand why me even now. So between these two people, the celeb and the friend, or frenemy and the popular intellectual philosophical figure, you say what you will about Jordan Peterson, say what you will in favor of my friend. I'm not disfavoring my friend. I'm not shitting on Peterson. I'm saying that I favor Peterson over Fuller because in this stance, I favor them non-judgmentally, I hope, but that's still a bit of a bias anyways. I favor Peterson's argument over Fuller because I think Peterson has a good point that we underestimate a lot of things in our life and concerns to our wisdoms and stuff. We shouldn't have to be like that. But it happens to be the case that Fuller is right because you have to at least know what you need and only get what you need at certain points in your life. That's a good practical and logical way to see it. But logic isn't everything in life. There are some intuitive, non-ego analytical thinking brain moments in your life that you're going to have to know how to navigate without using logic alone. logic is still good. Getting that fresh air of rationale is good, but you gotta think deeper than that if you want to, be like Peterson and market something so well that maybe he's still selling it overhead, not under short overhead. But to sell it that highly means he's not only a good marketer, but he's also good at knowing what is actually there. He's good at believing what's there, and that belief is still very important, because even if it's not there, I said this earlier before we're doing this recording, I would rather oversell something so at least some things that are real can be covered than undersell it and undercut everything that is actually real anyways. And that's just that's so true with education and our passions, all that. We don't understand what's there. We might as well oversell it than undersell it, and that's my idea of that. But with Jordan Peterson, sure, he's a bit of a airhead in some ways. Maybe Fuller is right in many ways I'll never understand for the rest of my own life. But what I'm saying is, don't underestimate or overestimate the way you see how you learn things. If you want to go to college or university, all means go for it. But my bias is that if you go into it with this perspective, the attitude that you're not going to get what you need or want, that may be a little bit too down bad, but maybe even more sickening in my own philosophical opinion, is that you're going there thinking you only get what you need and not so much what you want. You might as well get in there getting what you want instead of what you need. Even if this is a bit of a abstract way of seeing this, but this is also connected to Rich Lopp's ideals for #Shop, by the way, tarot reading, that the most manipulative things in life concerning what we manifest into our lives are love and money. And money can be very much recommended for this video, at least. Love I can get to in other videos. But, as if I know anything about relationships. But I do. But, the two most manipulated parts of our manifestations of vibrations are love and money. Because they're the easiest to understand, but they're also easiest to get in our lives. But they're not as understood as where we were expected to. As we were programmed to understand and brainwashed from. The way this is relevant to the video is that, at least with money, with money, you should not have to be desperate for money just to get it back. That's not how it works. It's just, you are better off doing what I'm doing. I'm not, okay, this is my other show, other than shilling for school, is shilling for YouTube life. It's like, you might as well do what I do and just stick with the stick with your own programming, your own self-brainwashing of just sticking true to yourself, because you know that, as per my example, this is my example, it's its own bias, but I stuck with YouTube because I know that I'm not intentionally, deliberately growing the audience I need right now, even with YouTube. I make decisions a lot of times, even recent and that long before, that did not grow my audience for obvious reasons, because I was still okay with what I was doing things. I would rather have done what I wanted and enjoyed than actually have literally grown the audience and monetization factors that would not have gotten me what I actually wanted. And that would have been pretty miserable. So I did this, and I learned from the experience. I learned from the experience of actually being myself and being true to what I actually cared about, instead of only thinking about the money or the audience. Because at this point, this all comes full circle. If I only thought about the audience on YouTube or the funding, I would have already been in school. Why? Because I would have been thinking about the money and the people I cared about, and people cared about me, and spoken into that idea of being lonely or dependent on money. And then what difference was what I made? Is going to school because I'm lonely or needed money? Being a YouTuber that's popular with a bigger audience and money that I also did not need or want. So this is what I mean by education being that important from attitude perspective. You look at people like Garrett Fuller and Jordan Peterson, and you think, well, maybe they're bridged to a little different opinions and perspectives. They don't have to be wrong or right, but there's a way to approach this that you can certainly use with thought alone and your own integral. Well, let's just not even put more compass on it. Let's just say it's more like your own choosing your own path for yourself. Doesn't have to be considered right or wrong, high or low vibration. Just consider that you have a way to decide for yourselves what is good or bad, because you know what is good for you if you know yourself, but you don't have to only see it that way. One of the biggest issues that I have with some of my family and friends is that they think they have what they want because they don't have anything better to do with it. And it's like they don't realize the power of their own thoughts. They don't realize the power behind what they could really have attained if they actually asked for the kinds of advice and wisdoms that would probably have helped them if they were open to it. But more than that, they get to decide that more than they realize. And that is the problem I have even in my own life. I don't realize how much power I have to decide these things for myself, or to even really get on the level of things that I didn't even say in this video, but I mentioned a few hints about it. So what would really get me to the point of not needing to attain certain experiences or wisdoms that I don't actually have to or need or want to have, whatever. These things that come about in my life, whether I notice them or not, whether I sound weird about them or not, I am the kind of person that I want to be. But not just because I know that, not just because I experienced that. I trust new perspectives because I know that they invite things in my life that don't have to be there, but it's a blessing that they are there. Trusting the process is not just about having experiences or wisdoms that prove what you're doing is right or good for you. It means actually exploring what's left out there, whether it's good for you or not, whether it's right for you or not. Just exploring regardless. You don't have to be a veteran, even in spite of being a veteran who's experienced or wise. You don't have to only stick with what is proven to work. That is my biggest gemut with YouTube in general, is that even if you can prove that thumbnails are good, even if you can prove that better quality perpetually over time is good, even if you can prove that you get in some diaphragm or paradigm of thought getting what you deserve on YouTube, but you don't necessarily get what you deserve. You never truly do. You get what you attract, at least, and that's another spiritual spin on that, I guess. Likewise, I'm gonna just bring this full circle one more time into the video, and I'll close in. The education system could be biased. It could be a little far-fetched in the wrong direction, maybe. But it is truly what you make of it. You make a lot of these things way harder for yourself, myself included. I've done this before. You make this way harder for yourself when you assume that you can only get what you need out of it. But sometimes, maybe getting a little bit of a plan started with it wouldn't be so bad. Getting what you want by itself is not a bad thing inherently. It really isn't. Like, getting what you want out of school, getting what you want out of a career path or something, even if careers are myths. Another video. It's just you get what you attract. You're going to want to at least get what you want at some point, even if it's the only thing you get. But getting only what you need is not what you think it is. It's just not like what you would. It's getting what you need is not what you would want. Getting what you want, now that's what you need. Yeah. Jordan Peterson's idea of college university selling versus Garrett Fuller's idea of selling college university for career and job.